So what led me to join the military and what I remember most about the early days of training was actually very interesting. I knew I wanted to be in the military when I was a kid growing up in San Antonio, Texas. We had planes flying over all the time, and I wanted to fly planes, was initially what I wanted to do. And then my eyesight got bad and I couldn't pass the vision test anymore. And then those back in, I want to say way back when, but it was, I guess it was, and once my eyes went bad, I was like, okay, I'll work on the planes, is what I figured I would do. And then I actually was on delayed enlistment. I went and signed up my junior year of high school, graduated, and then 3 months after graduation, I was at Lackland Air Force Base in basic training, which all the other branches are going to hate it. It was actually fun. After the first couple of weeks, you get into a swing and got into that. And then the interesting thing about it is I signed up for aircraft mechanic, and there was apparently at the bottom of the sheet for open field electronics, there was a job for space operations console operator. And I was going to some base called, they had never heard of it before. It was called Vandenberg Air Force Base. The training for space ops used to be at Lowry in Denver, but they were shutting Lowry down. So me and the other 7 guys that got that job were the first enlisted class at Vandenberg Air Force Base. So the facility that's out there now was a picture on the wall in the trailer that we had. So that was really, being a first to do that with the group that I was with was one of the things that I remember, walking around that base with a rope around my shoulder. That's what the tech school leader, the actual student leadership wore ropes. And people were looking at me going, I haven't seen a rope since tech school. Why are you wearing one? Well, they're like, what? No way. So it was pretty fun doing that and being the first to do that at Vandenberg. A moment from my service that had a lasting impact. I'm sure all the guys are having to think the ones that stand out. I would have to say there's 2 of them. It's interesting. The first one was when I was I was born and raised in San Antonio, and that's where basic training is. I remember standing, our squadron was the color guard for the graduation, the basic training graduation. And I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas. I had the Texas flag, and I was at my military graduation. And I'm holding the Texas flag and everything's going, and I just got so lost in the moment that when they called attention and we're supposed to pop the flags up, I was just so in the moment that I didn't hear it. So I was kind of the last one to come up, but realizing that I was now wearing the uniform and was part of it, and just being lost in that memory was a fun one. And then the second one, go to my retirement and sitting there listening to the orders being said that you're retired now and you're no longer active duty service. So it was time for me to get up, and I didn't even hear him introduce me to talk. I was lost in that moment. So at the beginning and at the end, I think were 2 moments that there's so many in between, but those 2 kind of stick out. Depends on what the job was, is what the day in the life looks like. It changes every assignment. It depends, starting off it was learning the job and learning how to be in the military. And then as you progress, you learn the new job, and my job was space operations. So it was learning how to manipulate and control the equipment that we were operating and learning all the people there. So it's kind of a trick question. No day was, once you got into the groove of that assignment, then it was a normal day. But it changed every 3 or 4 years at that point. So there were some days that were a little bit different, depending on the assignment you had. They could get interesting and some of them were just kind of sleepy days. The skills and values in the military that guide my life today. Any military branch, integrity first. Knowing that you've got a job to do and whatever it takes to get that job done. And then the other big one is that, yes, you have a job to do, but you're usually with a team of people doing that job. So learning how to work with people, learning different personalities, and how to be, when the opportunity and when the situation called for it, a leader, but also knowing that when to follow as well, I think were some things that have stuck with me. Yeah, good and bad leaders shape your outlook on everything. You learn the good and the bad from all of the leaders, from all of your peers. You see how they work. Had one commander who trusted my word over when I was enlisted, because I started enlisted and got commissioned about halfway through my career. I remember being an E2, and getting called into a staff meeting because everybody was arguing. So this commander knew I was working upstairs on crew, called me down. I walked in, and there's all of the captains and majors and the squadron commander, and he asked me the question. I said, well, I think we should do this, this, and this. He said, all right, let's make that happen. Yeah. What? And get back to work. Yes, sir. But the trust in my decision like that, and I was like, wow. So he gave me a lot of support, and then the officers who supported me to get accepted for OTS as well, and learned a lot from them, and learned a lot from pretty much everybody you work with. It's really neat. The most difficult challenge in the military? That's a kind of interesting one. I know if I was a Marine or Army or something like that, they'd know exactly. Probably some battlefield story. I don't know. I think for me, I don't know if it was just my personality, but most of the challenges I was able to get through with a team, really, is what it was. If we had stuff going on, I was always on either an operations crew or working in some sort of team environment like most of the military is. It's very rarely just you having to deal with or tackle a tough situation. So in that sense, military-wise, I don't think there was anything that was ever really difficult. The one thing was getting my degree done in a short amount of time, but that was a personal thing. But I had the support of my squadron to give me the time that I needed to achieve that goal of graduating, getting a degree, and getting picked up for getting commissioned. So that was a very, stressful time in my life, but I had the support of my squadron and there to help out, to be able to overcome it. What helped me transition back to civilian life coming out of the military? It was interesting. I didn't roll right into the job that I thought I was going to get. I had to roam around a little bit, and it was just the wrong time to retire. So I kind of went away, and I think the thing that helped me transition was getting almost completely 180 degrees of what I was doing in the military and having to do things that were not related to what I did in the military in any way, shape, or form, which made me want to. I was applying for jobs, but I think that was probably the biggest thing, was getting away from it, a clear break away from that, and then coming back to it eventually after about 3.5 years, getting a contractor job that supported what I was doing in the military. Something in military life that I wish more civilians understood was how important you are in a team and how important a team is to you. that any job that you go to, most jobs you're not by yourself. You become part of a team. So realizing your role in that team and just trying to, be a part of that team and help do everything that you can to succeed in no matter what you're doing, I think would be one of the big things. Working as a team to conquer whatever hill you're told to take, which in the Air Force we never had to do. But one piece of advice to a person considering the military, I would say do it. There's so much that comes out of it that, now that I'm in a civilian job, if I look at a resume and I see it's somebody coming out of the military versus somebody just who they might have the same, like their resumes could be the same, but one person's coming out of the military. That tells me that that person's got more discipline. It tells me that they've got the values that whether you want them to or not get ingrained in you in the military, and the character that usually gets imprinted on you whether you want it or not coming out of the military, even if you're only in for 4 years, that looks really good. And it gives you an option. Like for me, there was no way I was going to be able to pay for college or do any of that stuff. But throughout my career in the military, I was able to, at different points, take advantage of the benefits that I was able to have. So all of that, I think, would be a reason to at least give it a try. It's only 4 years. It goes quick. If I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't think twice. I would definitely do it in a heartbeat. It was an amazing career. It set me up for everything that I am and who I am today and the job that I have. Just all of it was based off of my time in the military. How has the service shaped me as the person who I am today? It instills in you the core values of not just that service branch, but I think life really is what any branch's core values equate to. It's, integrity, service for self, you don't leave someone behind, you're a team member, all of the stuff that comes with the core values that you live, if like in my case 20 years, it just becomes part of who you are, and it, like it says, it's the core value of who you are and what you do. And I think it relates to anything you do in life, whatever role you have.